Plan B, thanks for doing this. I know I'm a big fan of yours and your models and your analysis, so I know a lot of others are also. My question would be around kind of the correction that you just spoke of, right? Which is, we're at 57, 58,000 now almost. You're saying that it's going to average at least 100,000 over this cycle, which is 2020 to 2024. So we obviously have to go much higher, whether it's 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, we'll see. But traditionally, there's also been an 80% correction. So is that something that you think will in fact happen again? And kind of how are you thinking about that in the long term?
I do think that's exactly what will happen again. I can be wrong, right? Let me be very clear. I can be wrong, but I do think that 4-year cycle that is sort of triggered by the halving is a very real thing. It has to do with the scarcity of Bitcoin. It has to do with the shortage that we're seeing right now. Bitcoins are traded on exchanges, and the exchanges have some inventory of Bitcoin, and you can buy it, you can sell it, but it's basically not on-chain transactions. It's Bitcoins that are on the exchange, and you buy them from other sellers and you sell them to other buyers. But if you look on-chain, so the Bitcoins that are in cold storage, that large investors have, you can very clearly see these waves of shortage, and we're in one right now. At least last another couple of months before it's really well out of sellers, if you will. And what other news will trigger it, I don't know. I do think there will be a crash, and it could be as large as the crashes we've seen in the past. We have had 3 crashes of 80%. And I see no reason why we couldn't have another one, which of course is always short-lived and an excellent opportunity to buy more Bitcoin. But it could be quite scary for newcomers, which is precisely what, of course, those cycles do. They shake out people that are leveraged, that are investing with too much money, that are not certain of their investment strategy, that are those. You need those really committed hodlers, if you will, and they'll rise again.
I want to talk about your stock to flow model real quick. So you have it projected at hitting about $1 million a coin by 2025. Do you believe this? Do you still believe it? And then if so, how do we get there?
Have at least one more cycle to go in the stock to flow prediction. So yes, that would bring Bitcoin in the $1 million to $5 million range. And I really do believe that we're getting there. And so that would be the path that we're seeing right now. We're going from 57 or right now to 63, 98 in November, and 35, for example, or something above that, right? In December, and then FOMO starts to kick in. We go to 200, 300, 400, whatever, and then crash. And from there, we wait till the next halving, and the next halving will be another important fundamental and even maybe structural event for Bitcoin, because I think that's what people misunderstand, that it's all about the supply and the doubling of the stock to flow ratio, which is an important part. But the other part is that miners will have to survive that event, because their income, their source of income, and their revenue stream will halve, and they'll have to switch to new equipment, find better ways to fund themselves, and be much more efficient in their business. And if the miners and the whole business survives another halving, that's a major accomplishment, and that will trigger the next rise from, say, 100,000 after the next crash to 10x, 20, 30x that amount, which is in the millions, indeed.
It's pretty crazy, Plan B, when you start to look at this. When most people would hear, let's say 2025, $1 million to $5 million, that feels like it's a very wide aperture in terms of outcomes. Help people understand why it's so hard to pinpoint, $1 million to $2 million, let alone $1 to $5 million, right? I don't think people quite get kind of this idea of, even into Q1, Q2 of next year, if your kind of thesis plays out, you said, hey, 288's in the model, but 300, 400, 500, that's a pretty big variation as well. So help people understand like what drives that variability there.
Yeah, I think that's an important question. And it's funny to see that how naturally and logical that path of Bitcoin is to me, and how amazing it can be for newcomers and traditional investors indeed. The trick is to look at it exponentially. so in logarithmic scale, if you will, because it's not about the price level, it's about the growth level, the percentage growth that is constant or high at least. If you look at my followers, which is 1 million now, which was unthinkable even a year ago, let alone 2 years ago. So 3 years ago, I started with I crossed the 1,000 followers boundary. A year later, I crossed the 10,000. And then a year later, so the second year, I crossed the 100,000. And now in the third year, I crossed 1 million. And so it's amazing growth. And people start to see it when you're big. But in fact, it's a constant growth of 20% per month. And yeah, that was 200,000 new followers last month, but it will probably be 220,000 new followers next month. And so that 20% is constant. And the same is with the Bitcoin price. Bitcoin goes 10x every 2 years. So 100x every 4-year period. That is amazing. To hear that, but if you actually experience that or look at the data, but that's different. But if you experience, and as I did, of course, buying at 400 or 500 and then going to 4,000 or 5,000, and now we're at 40, 50,000. That's 100x. And there are people that have 1,000x their investment or 10,000x. And that constant growth, I guess, is very specific to Bitcoin and triggered by the halving period, the scarcity that's intrinsic in Bitcoin, and that makes it such a perfect store of value. And more and more people will recognize this unique property.
What's the thing that when you look forward, you're most excited to? Is there a price milestone? Is there a number of entities on chain? Is there some sort of kind of external milestone? What's the thing that you're like, man, when this happens, that's going to be pretty cool. I'm really looking forward to it.
On the short term, I would be very nice if we hit that 63,000 mark end of this month, because I guess that's what really did it last time, nailing the 47 and 43,000 last 2 months. So 63 would be nice. Of course, the 100K. The 100K is sort of the make or break for the stock to flow model. So I really hope we hit that, and I'm quite certain. Or not uncertain, I should say, that we're going to hit that. The most amazing thing for most people, and also for myself, will be that on-chain model turning red, the FOMO transactions that will be detectable, and me as the full bull turning bear. And as I said, I'm struggling with that, how to communicate it. Maybe that's the best time to go dark. Yeah, I think there will be a time where we switch from bull to bear. And that, of course, is a great thing of a model, that it's not always bull, but that and you're not always a moon boy, but that you can predict the downsides as well. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. On the one hand, but I feel it's going to happen someday later next year, but I'm very much sort of looking forward to that moment.
Do you have any thoughts on a Bitcoin ETF and how that could either support, accelerate, or be detrimental to stock to flow model?
Yes, stock to flow ETF will make Bitcoin available for the masses, for pop and mom and investors. And yeah, it will be a huge thing for the market. Although we, of course, think, well, you can buy Bitcoin right now. Why should you pay the fees that are associated with these funds? But it makes it easy for the crowds. The herd will be coming then, and that will be a big thing. So yeah, I think it's coming maybe this month, maybe next month, but it will be there. Gary Gensler from the SEC has already sort of nudged that it is possible to start a Bitcoin futures ETF right now, which I think has already been receiving applications for that at the moment. So yeah, I would be very, very surprised if that would not be introduced this year.